Welcome in, welcome in, welcome once again to the newest edition of 3 In, 3 Out, the most unique Seahawks recap show in the multiverse. I'm your host, Clinton Bonner, and I am joined by the one, the only, the great Brandan Schultz. Brandan, I'm going to keep this so short and simple and say 8-5, and I am feeling alive, brother. First place. How you doing, Brandan?
8-5, 4 games left to go. The final quarter of the season. Can you win the division in the first quarter? No, you have to wait until the fourth. We're in it now, and I'm kind of hoping that we're going to win it. I'm really hoping that we're going to. Clinton, we're going to win it.
Yeah, we are gonna win this division, I think. And actually, we'll get into all that. We have a beautiful 3 and 3 out queued up, which of course, if it's your first time here, we're gonna go through the micro moments, the things that people haven't talked, a day and a half about after the game, and really dig into stuff that I don't think anybody's talked about yet. And a couple of things on the outside, by the way, at least one of them that I actually think is pretty egregious and needs to be discussed. And I listen to a lot of Seahawks stuff, different pods and sports, Seattle sports, et cetera, have not heard one peep about this. And I'm telling you, it can't rear its head again. I think they'll fix it, but we're going to get into that too. So absolutely stick around for that. Brandan, speaking of sticking around, we have such a tremendous community of flockers. We love our flockers. We are getting so close to a milestone out on YouTube. We really want to hit it by the end of this year. What can new flockers do to get involved?
They can go to youtube.com/Seahawkers podcast. You grow the Hawkra, you subscribe, and you help get us closer to 5,000. We're not greedy. We just want to get to 5,000, and we're so close. We need your help. We're almost there. Subscribe.
Yes, thank you. We are almost there. It's free. And of course, hit the like while you're watching, share it with a couple of 12s out there as well. Preferably share it with 12 12s, and away we go. And again, it's a freebie. Just hit the thing. Last time you and Adam got on for the post-game show, which was awesome. That went over like 3,000 views, which for our pod is a nice volume. And I looked at the data, and I think I sent you guys that about 45% of those people tuning in, which is cool, they were not subscribers. So like on average, about 40% of people who are watching our shows are not subscribing. It's like, all right, if you're not a Seahawks fan, I get it. Then whatever, I wouldn't subscribe to other things either. But if you're a Seahawks fan and you're here, we really do want to drive that home into the Christmas, into the holiday, into the New Year's season, and then into the playoff season. Oh, Brandon, I see something queued up over there. What do you got?
Well, I'm really glad you went through all that, Clinton. That sounds like really good information for everybody tuning into the Seahawkers behind the scenes data episode. But
Yes.
we'll get to 3 and 3 out. We've got Ryan 911 with a $9.99 super chat. He's our live executive producer. He's saying 4 straight wins. You could say it's our time down here. We're taking it over the top. We're quoting Miss Cleo. We're bringing everything. Let's go.
There you go, dude. We're not taking Troy's bucket. It's our time. It's our time down here, and Goonies never die. So love that, Ryan. Thank you a ton for just doing what you do. This has been a fun stretch, including the stupid loss to the Rams. We turned the corner, and this is becoming a very good team. Brandon, I'm going to pull this up on screen because I want to introduce this as we get into 3 and 3 out. And I'm titling this one Super Bowl and Bust. And of course, that's a curious turn of phrase. You always hear Super Bowl or a bust. The thing for as we get into this, brand, that I want to discuss with you, and we'll look at the ins and outs, of course, is this team to me is a legitimate contender. Like as it stands, as we get going, as the offense starts to crank, I think we're a legit contender, and we could win 11 games and miss the playoffs like pretty easily. Actually, the Rams game, Week 18, crucial. But if you look around the rest of the league, like the Commanders, they're playing Spencer Rattler this week. Freaking Spencer. I mean, Carr couldn't even stay healthy to give him a shot. They have the Cowboys the last week. Brandon, you think Micah Parsons is going to be playing hard Week 18 after last night, after getting embarrassed on the Simpsons field? We got some challenges here, Brandon. 11 wins might not even cut it. I'm telling you, man, this could be Super Bowl and bust. It's a weird season. It's a wild season, but we're here for it. What do you think, dude?
I don't believe you.
Okay, tell me more.
How can we get to 11 wins and not make the playoffs? That doesn't make any sense.
Well, pretty easily, right? Okay, so let's go through that real quick. So let's
Did you go?
quickly.
Are you spending time at the playoff generator
No,
already?
no, I don't touch that thing. It's way too early for that. This is just common sense and logic and being able. Look, one thing I pride myself on is being usually a couple of weeks ahead of other pundits with takes and things. I just think I see things maybe read the tea leaves a little quicker than most. I'm maybe being a little braggadocious, but I don't know. I think I do. With that, play it out real quick. All right. Packers most likely get into one of the wild cards. Vikings at 11-2. They're stamping their ticket. Okay, that's gone. The other one that's sitting there is the Commanders. They have 8 wins. They have a cake schedule. So it doesn't look too likely to me that 2 teams from the NFC West are going to make it out. So it looks like we have to win the division. And not saying we're not going to. I think we will, but I think it's going to be. I think that Week 18 game is going to be for like all the marbles, and I think at that point we will have beaten one of the 2 teams next and shown the league that we are legit. But you could win 10 for sure. You could even win 11. The Rams could win 11 games, and we could win 11 games. And
I'm with Ryan. It's impossible for us to have 11 wins and not win our division because the Rams, they can win out and they'll have 10 wins.
No, they have 7 wins now.
They do?
Yeah, they're 7-6.
Oh, I'm trying to play this with the playoff generator. And
see, that's your first mistake.
That's the mistake right here.
That's the mistake. You don't need the generator. You just need good old logic and looking at it and saying, Commanders got a cakewalk. The Rams kind of have a cakewalk besides us. And I hate to say it, we have to root incredibly hard Thursday night for the 49ers.
Okay, well, just let me say this. Let me say this, Clinton. It's nonsense if we win 11 games and miss the playoffs, because that would mean that we win the next 3 and then lose to the Rams, and then we're losing a de facto playoff game into the playoffs, and we don't deserve. Then the bust is required.
Look who shows up. Now you're talking. Now you got it. That's the exact way this could happen, and I don't want it to. I'm just pointing out.
This is a nonsense scenario, though.
Okay, sure. I'm pointing out to everybody that I think we are actually a Super Bowl contender, and I am saying that. What is it, 12-10, December 10th or whatever? I was saying it last week. I think we're a Super Bowl contender. I really do. And we could still bust out of the playoffs. It's a very crazy, interesting, wild year. It's been a elongated playoff run, Brandon. A lot of fun. All right, so here, let's pull this up too. We talked about this already, youtube.com/Seahawkers podcast. That's where you subscribe. You could join as a member or go to getintheflock.com. So you can be part of our Discord, part of the Facebook Ring of Honor, and support the show, because that's just very kind of you to do that. So please do that as well. And then I put out a couple of polls. We, as a Seahawkers pod, put out polls every week on YouTube. This one was from PNW Propstars saying, hey, of the 3 bets here, which one would be your favorite? And I thought it was kind of funny. The one got the least amount of votes was a Charbonnet anytime touchdown. And only about 20% of the flock said that's what they wanted. But Brandon, Charbonnet dancing 2 times. We're not going to talk too much Charbs, but got to celebrate the guy, right?
Yeah, it was a great week by him. His best game easy. He's now had a couple 100-yard games in his career, and it's bringing up some interesting questions. But I think we can just all agree on celebrating the fact that he was one of the key cogs in the wheel of getting that win against the Arizona Cardinals.
And we are live Tuesday night. I know that the FedEx, the ground player of the week voting is still open, I believe. Get out there on whatever you're on, Twitter, what do you call it? If you want to call it X, I don't care. Blue Sky, wherever you're at, go vote for Zach Charbonnet. Deserves to win it. And I'll also point out on this graphic that 2 out of the 3 bets on this screen hit, which is quite nice. The JSN one also went over. And then one more. This one I want to call people out on, because I posted this one before the game and saying, besides Charbonnet, who was the you know what? I scrapped that one.
This would have been after the game, I think.
Yeah. Post game, just asking folks who was the man of the match besides Charbonnet. And I actually thought it was kind of interesting that not the majority, but the most vote getter was Ernest Jones at 38%. Of course, had a beautiful pick. But if you were making your selection of those 4, where would you place your vote?
I think I'm with a lot of the voters. I really liked what Ernest Jones brought to the game in a couple different areas, and so I think that on defense, I was kind of gunning for him to be nominated for Defensive Player of the Week, and then we could have 3 straight in a row. But
Mm.
that didn't happen. No
Didn't.
turkey for Defensive Player of the Week for our Seahawks.
No turkey. Then we can't get the 4-bagger, and I always forget what the 5th one is in bowling, but that's okay. We're here. We are talking about bowling stuff, and we got highlights to get to. So, Brandon, you know that I get excited. I get very, very excited. I was prepping all day long. Like for me, it's like a Thanksgiving dinner, getting 3 in, 3 out, ready for the flock, putting out stuff on social media, having a lot of fun doing this. And of course, I misplaced the one thing, the little clue I left myself about. I know there's a rule. I know there's only one rule when it comes to 3 in, 3 out, but by golly, Brandon, I forgot the rule. Please help me out. What's the one rule?
Clinton, it's been like 4 weeks in a row that our
Mm.
Seahawks have gotten the win. I feel like this is where that short-term memory becomes long-term memory. When we win, we start with an in.
We start with an in. That is, of course, right. So hit that win. Let's get to that first in. We got so much to cover. I'm fired up. There you go, Ryan. We start with it in. We all know it, although just sometimes I selectively forget. What can I tell you? All right, so I am going to dial this one up, Brandon, and call it all pro. And the emphasis on the ALL, all caps, underlined, all pro. You can see on screen there it is 7-3 at this time. Redbirds, kind of late Q1, and it's a 1st and 10. So we are going to take this over to the videotape. Let me do this now, and I'll set it up and describe it, and we'll go through this. What I want to say as we get going with this, and I'll just pause it as we get to the first screen, is we're highlighting Devon Witherspoon. Besides this play, we're looking at a play, and it's a gorgeous play by Devon Witherspoon. Brandon, when I watch live, he's omnipresent. He's kind of everywhere. And he's so sound at everything he's doing. When I rewatch, it's like amplified with this guy. So before we even get to this highlight, it's like you want him down the box as another edge defender. He's freaking magnificent. You want him in the box as a de facto linebacker. He's taking on guards and shedding them. You want him basically as another free safety who then comes up and smacks dudes on screen plays and little outlets. He's awesome. Boundary corner, really good. Slot corner, really good. Like Devon Witherspoon, to me, Brandon, is playing at a exceptionally high level of football. Before I play the video, I did want to ask, is he jumping off the screen to you like he is for me?
Oh yeah, and in a game like this, I mean, he was racking up tackles, he was defending passes. I think on the day he was targeted 4 times and allowed 3 receptions, and you think, oh well, shoot, that's 75%. Well, the thing is that it was 3 receptions for 15 yards, and that equals 5 yards per reception. It's easy math. Even Ryan can do this math. And that is actually the lowest on the team in terms of yards per reception. So a great day overall from Devon, and I can't wait to see what we're going to look at here.
Perfect. All right. So I'll play it forward here real quick and pause it. We're going to see a little toss to Connor, and they've got their big bodies in here. And what you're going to see, we'll go through it a couple times, is you got Tip Ryman, who is the tight end from Illinois that the Cardinals took fairly high in this year's draft. And he is known, he's the dude they bring in to kind of do the George Fant stuff that we used to do. Like bring in now he's a tight end. He's a more traditional tight end. I'm not sure if he played basketball, but he is an inline blocking tight end who's quite good. Listening to the Cardinals podcast, prepping for the couple of weeks here, like, oh boy, we bring in the big guys. We bring in Tip, and it's lights out. There's nothing you can do about it. Then you've got, I don't know what Witherspoon weighs, 190. Just watch. What I love about this guy is his desire for contact. It's insane. So let's just watch this, let it roll through a few times. Tip trying to wash him out. No can do. He's taking it, he takes it outside and washes him out there. Seeing it here again, comes in a little late there. Tip tries to shove him. There's nothing doing. This is a cornerback who's sitting here playing this thing like a freaking edge, Brandon, like a 260 or 240 pound edge, 235, that can move the way he does, and it tackles with violence. I absolutely love this guy, and I want to call him out. That's one play, but what'd you see?
Yeah, it almost makes you wonder why, from the Cardinals' perspective, like, can you not drive him, like, a little bit stronger? But I
No.
think part of it is that you can't, because that's just how physical Witherspoon is. I also wanna point out our man of the match here, breaking through the line and helping to force
Yes.
that outside to the sideline.
Love that. Yeah. EJ4 doing his work. The other thing I wanted to point out too, like a little nook, a little cranny, is it's going to be difficult. I mean, look at Spoon's motion. Most dudes who look like this on a football field, we'll play it in a second. When you look like this, you look like you usually are out of control. Like if you look the way he looks when I press play, like that guy's out of control. And you play out of control. You're not playing with leverage. You're not playing sound. I think he does this kind of stuff on purpose. Like look at the wild swings, the 3-4 stutter step, just trying to confuse Tip, being like, you don't even know where to strike me. And he gains the advantage, and then Connor has nowhere to go. I know that Connor ended up with 80 yards, and I don't care on 18 carries because, Brandon, how much of that was, let's say, late-ish fourth quarter when Seattle was up by 2 scores, if you had to take a guess?
I'd say a good chunk came probably in the first 3 quarters, but he did have some good I'd say it's probably 50 yards.
Yeah.
What did you say you finished with?
He finished with 80, 18 for
80.
80.
So I'd say 50 in the first 3 quarters, 30 in the last quarter.
Yeah, I think that's about right. Which again, all day long, sign for that all day long. He's one of the reasons we're playing some sensational football.
One
This
other
D is,
thing to roll it back on
yeah,
this one,
sure.
I feel like the way that Draymond Jones busts inside off of the snap too, it actually puts the Cardinals at an advantage in terms of where they have their guys matched up
Mm,
against the Seahawks players, because normally your defensive end like Draymond would be the guy to really set and hold that edge. He goes inside, and it,
mhm.
it looks like maybe they had a little bit of a stunt going because Jaron ends up outside of him. But um, it's just interesting because you would kind of expect that, yet you have a guy like Devon Witherspoon who can really hold that edge even up against a blocking tight end like Tim.
Yeah, it's a lot of trust, a ton. That's what it seems like to me. A ton of trust in ability, and then a lot of accountability across this in this case, this line. And you got Rayshon Jenkins bringing his hat up there, EJ coming across to finish it off. And they're playing good football. They're playing very, very inspired football. When we're stuffing the run and making teams way more one-dimensional, it's always, well, not say always, but it's gonna be an in very early and often for me. So happy to bring that one out. All right, Brandon, let us slide on over. I know we got some negatives to get to. That's okay. Hit that whammy, my man, and let's get to it. Okay. Well, it is 3 in,
Dark
3 out.
side. We have reached the dark side.
And always balance. There's always 2, no more, no less, right? And even with Danielson, wax on, wax off, there is this balance in life. There is the yin and yang. And
So is Cobra Kai the outside on this, or
well, I
how are
don't
we
know.
doing
I
this?
mean, I think they certainly, there was a lot of retribution later on, right? So they almost became the de facto hero, right? There was kind of an anti-hero thing going on with that whole story. So it's fun. Now they're buds. Sorry if there's spoilers. Spoiler alert, they're friends. All right. So let's look at out number 1. And I'm kind of going on a philosophical trip with you, saying there is this balance. I believe in that. And I also believe that things happen before they happen. Again, the
Mhm.
emphasis on before. We talk about momentum a lot, and people are like, there's no such thing as momentum. Sorry, I think you're insane if you watch professional sports and don't think momentum is an actual thing, that they're, whether that's whatever it might be, vibes, energy waves. I don't know what it actually might be. I just know that I think it actually exists, and you can almost quantify it. Things happen before they happen. This is the most egregious thing and the biggest mistake that I felt we made in 60 minutes of football. No one is talking about this. So let's go back to the video, and I have a couple of stop motions here too, because this is all about time. Remember, things happen before they happen. So calm this thing up. I've got a couple of like timestamps like this and then video from the all 22, but I want to show folks. So here we are, 132 left in the first half. We have a chance to step on the beaks of these birds, right? And really put them away before the first half is even over. We're up 24-10. The ball's at the 28-yard line. Watch the timestamps. We're at a minute 32. Gino's in shotgun. Cool. We run a play. I'll just play that through. It's a little dump off to Fant. Great. Fant struggles for a few seconds that he really shouldn't, but maybe Cardinals are holding him up. That's okay. Cool. Next, we get an inside draw to Kenny McIntosh. Cool. We play it through. Guess what that is, Brandon? How many yards did we just get?
That's a few. It jumped ahead to where I couldn't count, but it looked good to me.
Right. Between the two plays, between Fant and then the draw, first down Seahawks, right? It was 2nd and 3, and that's where McIntosh is landing now. Now it's first down. 54 seconds left at this point. We're at the 44-yard line of the Redbirds. We have 2 timeouts. I don't understand what our philosophy was here because we don't run our next play until right there. 32 seconds. 1 minute eclipses. A full minute. We have 2 timeouts. We're at the 30-something yard line. We run 2 plays up 14 in a minute while we have 2 timeouts at our disposal. The thing fizzles out. We end up punting and they kneel out, whatever it is. We have been so good and so aggressive at the end of halves. I don't know what happened here, but to me, this led into the crappy start of the third quarter and Arizona almost getting back into this game. My whole point is things happen before they happen. Momentum was lost on this drive and we gave it away. I don't have a good explanation. And I wanted to ask you if you just have some thoughts of like, were we satisfied? What do you think happened?
I understood it in the moment as far as they were getting close enough to midfield. I don't think that they were looking to score a touchdown on this drive. I think they were trying to, at the very least, get into field goal range. They used their second timeout. They're at midfield. You try and complete, with 32 seconds left on the clock, you try and complete 2 or 3 more passes and then get yourself in field goal range so that way you can kick that last field goal. You go up, then you're 3 scores, and you're getting the ball after the half. And so I think what they didn't want to do is because Arizona had all three of their timeouts at this point. What they didn't want to do was go 3 and out, kick the ball back to them, and then Arizona has their final drive then in that last half with all 3 of their timeouts. And so it's a mixture of they were trying to have their cake and eat it too in terms of draining the clock and trying to get in range for a score.
I think you're right. I think that is the explanation. I just really dislike it, especially in a game when we are up 14, when we've got that double dip ability. Usually I'm almost always, or at least years past, I'm like team never defer. We've discussed that for years. I actually think with and that changes. I'm malleable. The way our defense is playing, I am like right now, like team always defer, and you defer to get into situations like this. I agree. Even 3 to go up 17 would have been enough, but letting a full minute eclipse, but for 2 plays to get like 15 yards, it felt so weird to me. And during the game, I was like, why are we not stopping the clock? This feels like we're giving it away, and we're dependent now on like 120 yarder to hit for us to have a shot at a field goal. And I just thought it was terribly mismanaged, but I also think it bled into our third quarter, which started out really, really rocky. Don't know if you buy into the philosophy part of it, but that's how it felt for me, Brendan.
The one question I'd have about momentum is that can it carry from the end of a half with there being halftime into the second half? I'm not sure.
Well, I don't know for sure either, of course. What I do know is that the start of second halves can often be rocky. It's even when you're in the stadium, things feel weird because half the people are still getting hot dogs and stuff like that, or going to the bathroom. It's sometimes just a little bit weird to get the engines rocking and rolling again. And I just wish that we were more aggressive. We have seen Grubb be very aggressive at the end of first halves and we capitalized sometimes with some ballsy touchdowns, just sometimes with some Myers long field goals. And to not get an attempt at one was a big miss. This game almost got close. Now, again, we're better than the stupid Cardinals. They're not very good. So we can end that out. That was the one I want to spend the most time on. The other two, by the way, Brandon, we were about to pick some nits on outs because I really like the way we played most of this game. But we got more ins to get to. Let's do it, buddy. Okay. In number 2. All right. I think most folks probably know this meme, at least that you see on screen at youtube.com/Seahawkers podcast. Brandon, what famous movie does this meme originate from?
Oh, that is the arm wrestling movie, of course. Why? Over the Top.
It is not Over the Top. That's a great guess. You're in the right, you're in the right, a lot of stuff, right? It's action. This one's
is this from Rocky 2?
But now you're getting, look at the biceps on the gut with the guy with the red. That's not Balboa, right? But you got the other gentleman correct. You got the actor who plays Apollo Creed, the late great Carl Weathers, of course. One more guess. Carl Weathers.
No, I'm out.
And the Muscle Man. That's Arnold. This is Predator. This is from Predator.
Oh.
That's where it originates from. The beginning of Predator. They do this famous like handshake. They're kind of rivals, but they really but they love each other. They respect each other. So what I'm saying here is, for Grub Week 14, this was the week that creativity and execution met. We've been talking a lot about some of the outs on 3 and 3 out have been a lot of like, hey, it's there, but we're failing to freaking execute. In fact, we'll look at one for out number 2 in a second. But this one, Brandon, was 3rd and 1 right at the goal line. So we all know how this ends, or at least you probably know how this ends. I'll pull it back up. And to spoil it, it ends with Charbonnet's first touchdown of the day. But what I want to show and be so happy about is creativity plus execution. We're going to see a different angle in a second as well. We've got, what would this be? This would be 32, 3 tight ends, 2 fullbacks, 23, right? 23. So 23 personnel. You got this bunch going on, but right away, you got Brady Russell, you got AJ Barner in motion, Pharaoh Brown out wide in the slot, and then Noah Fant off of Cross's hip over to the left. They shuffle Barner and then Charbonnet. Russell gets where he's going. Then they move Charbonnet in motion into like a jet. I have to break it up for purposes. They move Charbonnet over. It's so well blocked and it's easy money. What I love about this, Brandon, first of all, look at the Cardinals. They don't know what to do. Like, we haven't seen this yet. They're communicating, but they look confused. They're not exactly sure. See, 7 still pointing, doesn't know exactly where to go with it. And then I'm highlighting the 2 tight ends. We get a hook job and a kick out. Easy money. Brandon, we have had so many problems at the goal line. So many problems scoring from the deep red zone, right, as it's now called, that creativity met execution, and we put it on film. Now teams have to worry about us in a different way. Probably my favorite play of the game, man. I loved this when I saw it. I loved it even more on the rewatch. And I hope you're feeling the love.
The thing that I love most about this formation is that there's so many different things that you could do with it. So this time we sent Charbonnet across the line, handed it off to him. He gets into the end zone. But you could do a fullback dive essentially to Brady Russell, who's lined up in the backfield. You could do a play action where any of these tight ends go out in a route. And shoot, if you decided to leave Charbonnet out there based on what kind of matchup you get from the defense, Gino could just drop back and, toss it out to him, or, depending on whatever the other tight ends do on the left side. There's a lot of different things that you could do off of this now based on what defenses have seen just from this formation.
This is why I love doing the show with you, man. Like this, you're exactly spot on. And that now that we've shown this, I'd like to see the formation again. And then, hey, maybe run it exactly as you did, because this is nowhere near defended. Right. Nowhere near defended. He could keep on going. He's about to get arm tackled by, maybe that was Buddha or somebody, not even sure. It's not defended at all. Or you get into a similar formation deep in the deep red zone there, that the black green zone, and then you do one variation or another that you just said. This opens up another world of possibilities for us, and I feel like it's the stuff that Grubb wanted to get to. Brandon, we saw no stupid fades. We just saw tight space creativity that created a lot more space. I mean, we've been calling for that for so many weeks. Man, did I love this. Any other thoughts on the play, on Sharps, on the blocking, anything at all?
Yeah, I see in chat them pointing out Barner holding onto the other tight end's calf, and Ryan saying he's feeling when the other tight end moves, so he doesn't have to look down the line for when the ball is snapped. A nice little pickup there, looking just at
Ooh,
the detail within this play.
love that. I did not even see that. So love. Okay, so Barner's got his hand on kind of
Right
fence.
before the snap. Yeah.
Right. So then when he moves, you move this way. There you go. So you're all together. Barner's been playing really good football. I think he's emerging. Fant had a nice game. This was just a well-played game. Very, very, very satisfied with where we got to. So
I love it when we have extra blockers that they
yes,
just have to try and look for work, because like, Brady Russell gets into
yes,
the end zone and he's like, I guess I'll block this guy. I don't
I
need to
guess,
because
yeah.
we're going to get this touchdown, but here we go.
Here he is, just in case. It's another beautiful point. It's just you're completely mismatched. Everybody does their jobs, and Brady's kicking a dude out who didn't even need to be kicked out. But he's fine that I had, right? It's this to me was the most encouraging thing that I've seen in weeks. And I just love the fact that we are in December. We're in the time of year where you have to run the ball. We're about to go face a Green Bay team with Jacobs, and that team is physical and they will run the ball. Quick pop quiz for you, Brandon. How many attempts did Jordan Love have versus Detroit last week?
Oh, 20?
20.
Did I get it?
On the nose. 20. He was 12 for 20. That's how often, and that was a pretty high scoring game. And they were down, right? Detroit was out to a nice lead early. That game was almost, getting late early. That's how committed they are. And now I feel like we're evolving into or growing into the type of team that it's like, how do you want to play? Do you want to play a winter game in what's going to be some elements again, where it's going to be ground and pound? Okay. We will beat you defensively and we will do enough on the ground. Oh, you want to go play in a dome and air it out? Okay. This team is dangerous, Brandon. We're dangerous. So I'm extremely fired up for that. Thank you for playing along. And yes, remember, that's Predator. All right, let's whammy over. We got some more outs and ins. Let's do it. Okay. Out number 2. We're having some fun. Now, you mentioned Rocky earlier. By the way, this hit the one in the middle. This is a Rocky reference. He's sitting in the corner and he can't see. He's like, I see 3 of them out there. And he says, hit the one in the middle.
In the middle.
So now the unfortunate part is, as you will see, this is one of those where the creativity is there. The desire to do something interesting, to use space, very much there. Desire to get the ball into a playmaker's hand who's been a little bit quiet. It's right there. And yet we mis-execute. So what do we got there? Q3, about 9 something to go. And it's a 3rd and 10, I think that says. I probably should wear glasses, but I'm stubborn.
2nd and 10.
So, 2nd and 10, thank you. And now let's go to the videotape and show this. And I'll pause it right here as we get going. So you got this huge orbit motion from, I think that's Bobo coming over here, keeping DK isolated. And, obviously it's an empty backfield and you got Fant in line and then 2 wide receivers, right? So basically 4 wide receivers, a tight end, but for all intents and purposes, it's kind of like 5 wide. There's nobody in line. What we're going to see is DK get into his own little tunnel screen here. And we've got it set up just like the weeks we saw Ken Walker, where it's like it's set up. But last week it was Gino, I think, threw the ball, on the wrong shoulder. A couple of weeks ago, we miss blocks in space and don't spring a guy. And as we play this forward a couple of times here, this is nicely set up. You get a guy right through the A gap. You get space. And as you'll see this, Olu and Lamea, I don't know why, but they both choose not to go after the best player on the field. This Buda Baker, man.
Yeah, Buda Baker. Nobody squares up Buda. In fact, yeah, Laumea's like, nope, not taking that guy.
Yeah, and I think it's more Lamea than Olu. I do because, and that's my guess, but I'm guessing this because if we let me stop it. I'm guessing this because if we're here, Lamea, yes, I understand Lamea is looking over here. I get that. But at the same time, he knows that this is DK Metcalf, right? He
Who
knows,
runs like a 4.2,
right,
40-yard dash. Like he can outrun anybody who is to, that
yeah,
side of Buda Baker.
right. And
Yeah.
DK is going with, this away, right? So to the other side of the screen with this ball, he knows the play call is. So I would just chalk this up to a rookie mistake that they will put on as teach tape and be like, hey, two young dudes, one of y'all or both of y'all go play duo out there. But you can't allow Buda Baker to split the difference really without even having to try. So it's great philosophy. It's smartly timed on 2nd and 10, easy yards to go get, just a hair off with the execution. What do you think? Just rookie mistake?
I hope so. That's well, and it almost doesn't seem like it should be a rookie mistake because everybody knows going into this game that the one guy on defense that you're worrying about is number 3. So shouldn't you be on the lookout for that guy more often? Maybe he thought Olu had him
Yeah.
and just was looking for work on the other side. But man, oh man, like you said, I'd almost be I would be less upset if they just both were blocking number 3.
Yeah. If they're both blocking 3, DK is getting at least 3 more yards before contact, right? Maybe not ideal, but better than that. And it just may be rookie communication. Hey, it's only week number 2 for Lamea, and he played pretty darn good, man. Like the Charbonnet 51-yarder. I won't go 2 and 2 because we got Brandon and stuff to get to, but there are plays too where Lamea is bringing it and showing with the I think they call them GT counters, like guard tackle counters, where they're both on the move together. He's showing some really good tenacity and athleticism to get into space with purpose. So can't be mad at the guy. But overall, again, this one is close, and I want DK to have that breakout game. It's plays like this where DK could even freaking house it because he could get up to speed so fast. And good luck bringing him down. But hey, Brandon, such is life. Not the biggest deal in the world. Picking some nits here, but a pretty successful play that just could have been really successful. I think is the point there. So, any other things on that tunnel screen? We see a lot of it. You still a fan of the play in general?
Yeah, I think that play has a chance to be successful. They're going to have to. I think the more that they repeat it, the better they are going to get at blocking it. And we've got Ryan Eady in chat saying Buda had 18 tackles this game
Wow.
from the safety position. A crazy stat. He had an incredible game, and among those, he only missed 1 tackle. So, yeah, Buda Baker, really, really good player on that
Yeah.
Cardinals defense, and probably an All-Pro.
I mean, like perennial Pro Bowler. And at this point, probably racking up a career that might be fringy Hall of Fame, if not like this dude's a Hall of Famer. Like he's such a consistent and good baller. The piece that what was his name was Ryan. Ryan's making there too with the volume call out of 18 tackles is that was also part of the momentum I felt we gave away in the 3rd quarter. It was evident like Buda Baker all of a sudden was a linebacker. He was just playing the box. And we were just like, okay, we're gonna run it. We're gonna run it. It's like, wait, guys, like they're giving this away. And by the way, this is a kind of play that we're showing with the tunnel screen. You do want to, that's where a team like that can get got when they're committing to the run. And we just weren't as crisp in the third quarter, kind of got it back in the 4th quarter, but we had such a lead built up that wasn't too big of a deal. All right, let's hit that let's hit the whammy to get to the last in. Those words work. Let's do it. Hey, we're doing it live, right? Sometimes and I say a lot of words. Okay. We're going to call this one Still the One, which I think that's a country song, right, Brandon? Still the One?
Yeah, it's I want to say, let's see, is it Shania Twain or is
Shania?
it Faith Hill?
It's one
That's a
of the
good
somebody in the
question.
chat. Somebody in the chat's got to know that. But I think you're right. Faith Hill or Shania, Still the One. we're still having fun and you're still the one.
It's
Someone's got to know
Shania.
that one. Shania. Okay. There we go. Shania for the win. Let's get back to the video. And I'm calling this one still the one because there's a ton of debate lately of, hey, is it JSN or is it DK? What I want to say here is I don't care. I think JSN might be emerging as the one, and I've been a proponent for that in general. They make each other better. And this is exactly a nice play to showcase what's happening here. This is, let me just go back because I wanted to show the score to everybody. Oh, that's back on over here. 1 second, guys and girls. But I'll do that. So we are at Q4, 6:26 to go, 27-18. So the Cardinals have kind of gotten back into it. And then now it's 3rd down and 2. So just to set that up a little bit better. And as we can get back to this, all right. This is kind of neat because what I want to show folks is, as we get going here, we've got this little bunch with our trio that we love so much, right? Might be the last year of Lockett, considering 30 million a year. They're going to figure it out. But you got Locke, you got DK, and you got Smith and Jigba. And what's cool about this little shuffle is he goes into the slot where he's kind of most dangerous. And all of a sudden, the Cardinals have got to shift, and you're going to see their safety head back there as well. Okay, cool. Play it forward. Now, Gino's in shotgun. Just play this forward, and it's an easy pitch and catch on 3rd and 2 to DK. I'm giving DK a lot of love here because he wins this thing straight out, but it's a beautiful, beautiful concept. And what I love about this too, which I kind of highlighted here, is that you could see the pressure this puts on the Cardinals. Right away, you got this bunch, Brandon, that's like, okay, you got 2 guys attracting 3 defenders, and you got this safety. Now, the safety's sitting here going, okay, I could either bite on Lockett, or I've got DK Metcalf sitting there, who we know is a burner. And JSN is getting to the point in his career where he's such like a gravity well that he attracts so much attention that the beautiful part is that if DK didn't win and he wins cleanly, I want you to see what happens with Tyler Lockett in this next frame. Tyler's screaming across, hands open. Safety is bearing down on DK. It's an easy pitch and catch. But if DK didn't win, if he didn't win that route, Gino's got time. He floats that thing to Tyler, and Tyler might even score on that thing. It's just that DK is the first read, clearly, right, and it's open, and bingo, 3rd and 2, and we go. This is, again, great grub, phenomenal execution. I want to give some love to DK, man. DK, to me, people call him a diva. Brandon, for me, how would you describe DK? Is he a diva to you?
He does not. He does some diva-ish things that I feel like they like to point out in the broadcast because he really, really cares about winning. And sometimes he does, some of the emotional stuff where he sticks his hand in a guy's face or grabs a face mask. So it's that part of it that I think it brings attention to him in ways that aren't always positive. But if you see this guy anywhere else, like, listen to the press conferences. I wish anybody who thought that they didn't like DK would just watch all of his press conferences and watch like how he is in other media appearances. And gosh, anytime that he's around fans, he's just like one of the greatest guys ever. So you can't just take away based on some of the things that you see on game day.
I love it, and you're on it, man. And you watch the Seahawks media is really good, right? They got great designers. They have amazing looks into what it's like to be in the locker room. They do a lot of cool social media stuff. They're really solid at how they offer glimpses into the players and the team. You watch DK walking into the locker room after W's. I don't think yes, of course he wants touches. He's a dude. He's a big alpha guy. He's going to want his touches. But the guy is all smiles, and he understands that he's got a role to play in this one. And on 3rd and 2, I called it still the one because on 3rd and 2, the isolation, the entire play was to scheme up DK. And the safety thinks he's going deep. And why does he think that? Because he thinks the ball's probably going to JSN. Brandon, I'll keep saying it. This is a dangerous team. We're getting dangerous at the right time, dude. Any other thoughts on the scheme or things you saw?
Another thing that I like about that play is you do have it gives Gino so many areas where he can make a decision based on how the defense reacts. So
Mhm,
they could end up with two guys going with DK down the sideline. Instead, you end up with the linebacker kind of in the middle that sits
mhm.
on that short route by JSN. If another guy were to go with DK, it just there's enough going on right there at the release point that based on how those defenders react, it gives Gino the opportunity to go, oh, okay, JSN's going to be one-on-one. In this one, Tyler ends up also one-on-one, and it's JSN, which it makes sense that JSN would probably get the linebacker and the other
Mhm.
defensive back because it's a third and short. They want to sit on the short stuff, but with DK putting the brakes on and going to the sideline gives him a wide open throw too.
And McDonald wants to be multiple, and it's looking more and more like when Grubb has a little bit of time, which we're getting great, very good play by the offensive line. Look, you keep the Cardinals out of the backfield for the most part all day long. You run block well, 0 sacks. There's a reason that Huff got a game ball from McDonald. That wasn't just yes, it's a big symbol, it's a big gesture, but it was very much warranted because this is the best we've looked all year. And again, it's all about when are you peaking? A, are you healthy? B, are you peaking at the right time? I will keep saying this is a dangerous team. By the way, the national media is starting, just percolating, being like, this team might be interesting. The Green Bay game is going to be a huge, huge freaking test. All right, before we get to more, let us get back to the whammy and let us get to the final out. We're going to pick some nits on this one. Let's do it quickly. All right, out number 3, Brandon. Little hammer. Do you
Okay.
remember who the 2 years ago? So that's a clue. 2 years ago, Pete Carroll and John Schneider were talking about this guy, late round draft pick for the Seahawks, and they were like, yeah, little hammer by his name, little hammer. They had the little stickers that they do, and they really like the way this guy played. Does that give you any indication of where I might be going?
Is it a current team member?
Team? Oh yeah, absolutely, still on the
Okay.
team.
Kenny McIntosh?
Not Kenny Mack. Not Kenny. That's
No?
okay.
Okay.
It's
All
a
right.
good guess. We're gonna look at Jarek Reed, right?
Oh,
And this
okay.
is
We're going to the defense.
we're going to special teams. So when we get
Oh,
we could
look at
do it we could
you.
do it we could do it pretty quickly because if I get
I know
here,
this play that you're talking about then.
yes, yeah, exactly. This is where Jarek Reed decides to not play football for a second or two,
Yeah, yeah.
and so this is Jarek Reed storming down. Dixon had a heck of a day. Dixon was so good with back spasms and everything. There's no fair catch, and it's like, he does a great job as a gunner, by the way. So kudos to Jarek Reed. First of all, like, first job one, he beats his guy clean,
Yeah.
not contacted whatsoever. But you're set up in a situation where you could lay some wood on a guy who is purposely taking a chance, down, and they need to get back in it. And I don't know what he does here. Look,
I
yeah,
yeah,
go
I
ahead.
can tell you, I think based on that end zone view, what we see is he looks up to see if the receiver's actually in position to catch the ball or if he's faking as if he's gonna catch the ball. So as he looks over his shoulder right after he gets by his guy, and then I think he's unsure if he actually called for a fair catch in that split moment that he looked back. And
Mm.
that could explain why he made that whiff so badly.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you're right in the sense that I don't think it's like a natural whiff. I don't think he just missed. So I'm happy you explained it that way because it's got to be something. So
Yeah.
I think you might have cracked the code here that he just is fully unsure if maybe he did call it for a fair catch or he's going to let it bounce, and he just makes the wrong call is what it boils down to, right? He takes an educated guess based on what he sees and where he's sitting at the 6-yard line. Ball's about to bounce to the 5. And maybe he just takes a guess that there's no way this guy's fielding at the 5-yard line. Possibility. When you see a player have regression, not that Reed did, because Reed was a special teamer last year, special teamer this year, but Trey Brown certainly took a step back this year. He's back on special teams. I don't think he was playing special teams very good. And I love Trey Brown. I've been calling for the guy to be our slot corner for 3 years now. So certainly a disappointing season. I hope he just finds his way. Similarly with Jarek Reed, it's like, okay, you were started off hot last year as a special teamer. You got injured. You had a battle back from injury. You made the roster. They believe in you. Man, this is a chance to lay a hat on a guy at the 5-yard line who should not be catching this ball. You got to punish people. When they make dumb decisions, and this is a dumb decision, you got to punish teams. The ball could pop out. You just get a huge hit. You got to keep them at the 5-yard line. So, Brandon, that's my I'll end that with the pick and nits. I know it's a punt, a kickoff, a punt coverage, but we are going to play back-to-back very solid teams. These are the things I think we got to clean up. What do you think?
Well, I was upset watching this too because it's in these times. If a guy's catching it inside the 10, that gives you a perfect opportunity, especially if there is no fair catch, to really one, you're within the area of if you get there at the right time, he might be fumbling the football, and we might be having great field position if he is unable to hold on to that ball. But otherwise, I mean, generally guys don't catch it inside the 10 too. They're letting it go. So make them pay for that mistake. And on top of it, he doesn't call fair catch. So you had the opportunity and you missed it.
Yep, I think you summed it up exactly right. So, hey, look, again, teaching tape. If we're covering it, right, we all know they're watching this being like, hey, you've got to recognize this sooner that he is not calling a fair catch. And special teams is such a big deal. I do want to give Dixon some love too. I doubt he'll be your Brandan, so I feel comfortable saying with the back spasms and all that jazz, Dixon comes out there. I was very critical of him let's say the first half of the season. And it was very simple criticism, being like, hey, you've been an all-pro and a Pro Bowl level punter your entire career. And this year, you're not getting anything to die at the 2-yard line, die at the 5-yard line. Brandan, maybe he listens, because the last 2 weeks, my man's been spot on, and it makes a friggin' difference when you could put the team at the 2-yard line.
Absolutely. Yeah. And they had that opportunity. You could probably it maybe be an easy out, just because I think so many of us were thinking it at the moment, but the Derek Hall penalty, jumping offside in that moment where they're backed up toward the end zone. I mean, the play like that too, it's a similar type of moment. Like, you didn't even give yourself an opportunity to really, make them pay after having a big special teams play. And that was a little bit unfortunate, but he had such a good game too. Derek Hall, we didn't call him out for ins or outs, but we should recognize he had a great game.
Derek Hall, I made the joke out on Twitter during the game, and I joked, I was like, oh, more like Derek Hold, am I right? Because they could not stop him. He has these ebbs and flows, and then people out on Twitter throughout the weeks were like, oh, Derek Hall's disappeared. He's kind of disappeared. And then other people are barking at me, oh, Nwosu's going to just be, like Jamal Adams. I'm like, first of all, why would you assume injury in something as like high, crazy variance as football? You don't know that. You don't know he's going to get re-injured. So stop just guessing and saying, oh yeah, for sure, it's factual, he's going to be re-injured. And people were like, oh, Hall's kind of disappeared. I'm like, look, his stats, his sacks might have disappeared. And he had not had a hugely disruptive game for a while when Leo was going bananas. But that's a sign of a good team, Brandan. It's like, it's not always going to be Leo. In this game, we had other dudes stepping up. And Hall was, with his speed and power, blending in that bend around the edge. Dude, he was causing some problems. So, again, a very, very encouraging win, a huge win. And if you watch what Detroit did with a mash unit to Jordan Love, they had Jordan Love there's a reason they only threw it 20 times. Partly they could run the ball. The other part is he was under a lot of duress with a mash unit. Miles Adams and Jamal Adams were playing football, and Quan Alexander, all brought to Detroit that week, and they were putting insane pressure on Jordan Love. So I don't know. color me bullish, Brandon. I believe we've got a really, really good shot against these Packers. All right, let's take it now to another part. Of course, we innovate. We're always innovating here. And this is the Brandon. Brandon, didn't get a chance to use your updated photo just yet.
No, come on.
I didn't get a chance. It's in the, hey, by the way, it's in the Discord. So getintheflock.com. You can see his updated photo. You look lovely. I can't believe you look that good. I really can't believe
Maybe
it.
Maybe a preview for next week. It's a very accurate portrayal of how I actually look now based on my old photo. So
exactly.
Just a little bit of a hint there.
We still have the Brandon. Tune in next week, and we bring back the Brandon. So not only do we start with an in, but we get the bonus, the Brandon. This is the bonus room over the garage. We have fun with it. Brandon, take it away. What was your favorite play? Who do you want to highlight? Tell us why.
Yeah, hopefully a bonus headshot next week of me, but that would mean that we have another in. I'm going, Clinton, to the second quarter 2, 11:45 left to go in that quarter. The Arizona Cardinals are at 1st and 10 on the Seahawks 11-yard line. And if you remember what happened leading up to this moment, it was a couple of James Conner. It was actually a trio of James Conner runs. Actually, this whole drive was James Conner, Clinton. It was they started off with after they get to midfield, they have a 1-yard run by Conner. Then there's an 8-yard pass completion to him. He gets another 5 yards. Then he goes for 23 yards. That was the tackle that Reek Woolen got in on. Mm-hmm. And after that tackle by Reek, they were at 1st and 10 on the 11-yard line. And you're thinking, man, are they just going to use Conner this entire drive and hammer this into the end zone? Because this is what they do. Mm-hmm. For the Cardinals, once they get inside what the bonus red zone, part of the close end zone within the red zone, they like to hammer it with James Conner. And so they have 1st and 10. And one of the things that I like about right off the snap is that Leo Williams is right in the backfield. He's almost 5 yards deep by the time that, because Murray's lined up in shotgun, he fakes a quick toss out to the left and then hands the ball to James Conner. At this point, Leo has already got 2 guys that are trying to make sure that he doesn't get to Conner. And who's there waiting for him after Conner? He just manages to get by Leonard Williams. It is Ernest Jones. And one of the things that I love within this play is that he has a blocker that's coming down, and he should be taking care of Ernest Jones and lead blocking for James Conner. But Ernest just gives a little head fake to the inside, and it's just enough for the guy to completely whiff. Ernest Jones makes the tackle. Leo comes in behind, cleans it up, and they only gain 2 yards on this 1st and 10. And why I think this is so important is that if he gets 3 or 4, I think we are seeing Conner again and again, and it's going into the end zone. Instead, they shut it down on 1st down, and they go for 2 straight passes after this and miss, and they end up having to kick the field goal. So for Ernest Jones, and is just enough of a head fake to keep this to just a 2-yard gain, he is my Brandon.
Beautiful description of that. And things happen before they happen, right? Kind of the theme that we're leaning into for this one. I love the way it crescendos there for all the listeners and the viewers, in the sense that, hey, if they get a few more yards, they're probably going to keep pounding the rock. And if they keep pounding the rock and they get in the end zone, the game changes. And that's the point. Like, that's the whole freaking moral of the story, is when you get either those negative plays, or you really could just get them out of their series. It's like, okay, well, now, hey, it's 2nd and 8, 2nd and 9. We got to pass. We have to pass. The NFL rulebook says you got to pass 2nd and 8. You can really change, again, momentum very, very quickly. And that's another great example. So love that EJ wins that. Do want to give one more shout out to, I don't think we saw a lot of them from the flock, which we're going to get to in a second, but I thought a player who played a really solid game with the snaps he got, I thought Byron Murphy played the best game that he's played in a while as well. He just was explosive, again, blowing things up. And he was in the backfield quite a bit and working through a lot of traffic, working through a lot of muck, and still holding his position, keeping linebackers clean, and just doing a real nice job there too. So I thought he had one of his most effective games in the last few weeks as well. Kind of all coming together, which I absolutely love. And with that, Brandon, speaking of all coming together, we do have the MVC, the most valuable cranny, and of course, this is something that we created a couple of years ago to keep the celebrating going. Because when you win, you just got to keep celebrating. Brandon, but maybe the listeners do not know, we 3D print a real trophy. It goes out to the VMAC. We engrave it. We inscript it. How is the 3D printer? There was hot, there was cold. You had some challenges with the temperatures. How's our precious, very, very expensive and real 3D printer in your garage? Doing well?
Like I said, as long as we can keep it rolling through the winter, it won't be stopped. The 3D printer is good to go. If it has to take a break for a week, it may not start up again. So our Seahawks, they have to continue to win. Let's keep streaking.
We're going streaking. Take it to the quad. Who's streaking, Frank? I'll tell you who's streaking. It's DK Metcalf. I want some limelight back on DK. And if it's got to come in the form of an MVC, then so be it. DK Metcalf, wide receiver, number 14. The inscription will say, for being the most humble, clutch, gutsy, in quotes, diva in the history of the NFL. He is no diva. He's a team player, and team players get the MVC. Brandon.
One of the great things that I like about DK Metcalf, there's only 3 guys in the history of our Seattle Seahawks that have had 5 straight games with 70 yards or more. One of them is DK Metcalf. And now he has an MVC trophy to add to his collection.
He does. That's a great stat. I think Amy was just cheering it on, saying, yay, DK, live with us. And I think Amy in the Discord posted the stat that it was DK Metcalf, Steve Largent, and then who's the third Seahawk, Brandon, who now has 5 games straight of over 70 yards receiving? Who's that dude?
Jackson Smith and Jigba got it in this game. He's going streaking too with his 70-yard games.
We're all going streaking, and that will take us now to From the Flock, which is still yet the best section of 3 and 3 Out. This is where we go to our Discord and we look at the ins and the outs that our awesome flockers and members, they put in live during the game. We have a channel dedicated just to this, to collect it and talk about the little nooks and crannies. And it honestly tickles my heart that so many people get into the idea that there are these smaller moments that we really should examine, because they are what actually make up the constitution of great plays. And it just gives me all the fizz, man. But I would love for you to tell folks, how can they get the same amount of fizz, get into our Discord, help out the podcast, and become a flocker?
Yes, if you want to get in the flock, you can go to getintheflock.com. Now, speaking of places we're trying to grow, yes, we're trying to get to 5,000 subscribers out on YouTube. We're trying to get to 500 members of the flock at getintheflock.com. You can join for free. There's a free tier, but you can also support us at $3 a month and above. And by doing so, gets you into our Discord, where you can give your ins, you can give your outs. You can get a preview of my new realtor photo done up through the help of AI. It's a wonderful place to be.
It is so accurate. It's going to blow your minds. And I even think, Brandon, are we going to tease before we get into it? Do you want to tease what's coming up just tomorrow, so folks are ready to be here with us again?
Yes, another live show tomorrow night. Adam and I going live for a flagship episode 454. Here we go.
Yeah, that's going to be live. That's going to be a ton of fun. And folks should tune in, because it is the giving season, and we got a couple of things that I think we're going to be giving away. So, but you got to be a member of the flock to take advantage of it. So getintheflock.com, you get all sorts of perks. All right, Brandon, do you want to take it away first in the Discord, or are you going to defer?
All right, I'm going to take the, I'm not deferring. I want the ball first, and we're going to score.
There you go.
Josh Tehuman with the in, because this just piles on the theme. Ernest Jones completing his third 100 tackle season in this game and getting that interception to set up the JSN TD.
Love it. We got Amy on screen. We got Amy in the Discord. Amy goes by Designed Pete's Beach House, says in pouty Kyler. Oh, after that first interception. Oh, after that second interception, pouty Kyler was in full form, Brandon.
We got Poutler Murray a lot earlier than we even hoped for in this game.
Love it.
We've got Frost in the Discord. That's, of course, Ryan911. Grub, we get first and goal, and he calls 3 straight runs, mixing in a bit of creativity, gives it the in, and it ends with Sharps in the end zone.
Love it. And Ryan's the best. I affectionately call him Coach in the Discord. But again, you'd only know that if you were part of it. All right, we got I like to touch my Bobo, which makes me giggle every single time. He says, out. Adam for stating on PNW Prop Stars, our only gambling Seahawks show that we have on Saturdays. He says that Adam said that Sharps, aka Mr. Cement Boots, couldn't bust anything longer than 25 yards. Well, he doubled that and then some with the 51-yarder. But we also know, Brandon, that Adam, he is not afraid to eat crow. When he's wrong, the man says he's wrong. Am I right?
That is right. And yeah, hey, if Sharps is going to keep proving us wrong, then let's see it. That'll be fun. All right. We've got right hand Dan in the Discord giving the in. No matter what position you play on defense, you're getting a pick. Kobe Bryant getting the pick too.
Yeah, good stuff there. We got Thad is radical, says out the intentional grounding call against my man Eugene. Hashtag horrid. I don't like those because the subjectivity, and I see dudes putting that guy's feet on purpose, like on screens that don't work. It's like, well, that was never intended to be caught. He just threw it at the guy's toes. I thought the guy was within the range, and it looks like Thad is radical thought so as well, but we still won.
It was interesting because we saw so many other plays throughout the weekend that were very similar, and yet not called. So,
same play.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. We have Rising Hawkra with the in. Pretty much to everybody. Ernest Jones, Kobe Bryant, Reek Woolen, Zach Charbonnet, Geno Smith, DK, JSN, O-line, D-line, special teams, Mike McDonald, Ryan Grubb, Mascot Blitz. Everybody gets it in.
Rising Hawkra, now you will forever be known as Podium Russell Wilson after a win. I know that's a long nickname, but that is that's the old Russ Wilson. Everybody gets one, right? We got Leo in the Discord saying in 4 W's in a row, and with a name like Leo, well, you just can't be wrong.
Josh DeHuman giving the in. The Seahawks' 400th win in franchise history. That is a nice way to do it against a division rival, to keep your team in first place going into this last stretch of.
Love it. Josh is the man, a great flocker, always very active out there. Another great flocker is Car. She says, out. The last quarter of that game did not need to be that stressful. I wasn't that. It got a little bit puckery, just the tiniest bit puckery when it did not need to be. It was when they could have made it 6, right? And then they doink it, and we go back and we take it from 9 to 12 and lights out. Which, by the way, is when DK converts on that 3rd down, and a couple of plays later, we're kicking 3 more, and it's game over.
Got Nate Schutz with the in. Sharps jumping catch in the 4th quarter. JSN catch just above the grass. Murphy with big pressure on Kyler late in the game. That was one thing I wanted to point out. So I'm glad Nate mentioned it here. It was Murphy, and you brought him up. Murphy led the Seahawks defense in pressures on Kyler Murray with 4. So definitely right to call out Murphy in this game. That JSN catch, incredible. Just the fact that he was able to keep that from hitting the ground. And I was this close, Clinton, to having Charbonnet with the brand in for that jumping catch in the 4th quarter, because if he doesn't come down with that, I think that may have been a pretty critical first down. And if he doesn't get his hands on that could potentially be going over to the Arizona Cardinals. So
very much. Yeah,
very critical play by Zach Charbonnet. And then also Nate Schutz with 3 out penalties in bad spots. Oh, with the out, 3 penalties in bad spots. Lockett dropping that beautiful tutty. Cards for doubling Big Cat. Yeah, you can't blame him though.
Yeah, I can't blame them, but there's lots of good stuff there for sure. I want to celebrate that Murphy part just a second longer and just revel in the fact that we got a good one there as well. We got young players all across the board doing really good stuff. We also do have JSN Jiggy with it. Lisa saying Dixon getting out his back pain and putting in a great performance, saying special teams is great all day. Very, very good. Kind of said on what if I was like, look, I think that was a wild game against the Jets. I don't think we'll see it again. And I think most kickoffs are going to go into the end zone. And then what's his name? Darnell? Is that his last name?
Sure.
The new returner?
No, Darden, Jalen Darden.
Darden, sorry. Our new returner. I'll get that by next week. It's all good. But hey, confident.
Jordan Love.
Confident, smooth, and and just did a good job. So special teams is a big part of this game, and it was smooth. All you can ask for. Love it.
All right. We have living the good life with the inn. We got out of that cursed stadium with no reported injuries. Yes, Draymond Jones, he got shaken up a little bit, but overall for the team, a good way to get out of Arizona.
Yep, I'm going to scroll past the one I'm scrolling past for a second. We'll circle back to it and go to Flocktimus Prime. He's talking about those baguettes, those nuts, saying in Jones sacrificing his boys to break the curse of the indigenous burial ground. So hey, if that was what it had to be, just a little wolfman has nards, and the males will know that's sadly temporary or thankfully temporary. If that was the sacrifice we had to go do so that so all the CL stayed intact, Brandon, well, thank you, Draymond. We appreciate your service in all the ways.
Charlie Perkins saying, I got my wish, no injuries, and also giving a live in here on YouTube. Still not over how great the first half of this game was. Yes, 24-10. They had a chance to tack on points at the end too. It could have been even greater, but definitely the best first half of football that I think we've seen overall for our team.
Oh, by a long shot. It was great. All right, we'll call on our closer. I'm a Mets fan, but still, game respect game. Our very own Mariano Rivera, which of course is Hawk Van Dyke coming out of the UK. And this is Bloomy, of course. He says, in our tough as nails punter. He says, in the rant. That is Adam Emmert. Got to watch his perfect game, right? This is the game that Adam has been dying for. And he says, out off of the burial ground with no ridiculousness. The nonsense ends with Coach Mac. I don't know, that out kind of sounds like an in. I guess he just means we're out of there, which is cool.
Hey, we're all about turning outs into ins, especially in a game where we couldn't go all ins, but maybe there's a team coming up that we'll be able to do that with. Maybe, Clinton, 6 straight ins after a win over the Packers. That sounds awfully nice.
Look, at the PNW, they got to travel. We're the hotter team. Have you heard of the Honolulu flu? Has that come across your bow yet? Do you know about the Honolulu flu?
Is that what every team comes down with after they face the Detroit Lions?
That's exactly right, because Honolulu blue is their official name of their colors. By the way, shout out Iron Eagle for in the middle of the game saying wolf gray, action green, and college navy, right? So nailed it, Iron Eagle. Love that. Honolulu blue is Detroit's blue. And what goes around after you play the Detroit Lions this year is what is affectionately known as the Honolulu flu. You have a hangover. They are tough. This is like playing Legion of Boom back and you didn't win the next week. There's a pretty good little streak happening where the teams that play Detroit don't show up as good as they could have the following week. Now, they are coming off a Thursday night game, so they get the mini bye, but I don't really care. I think the matchup looks pretty good. We got plenty to talk about this week on all the Seahawkers podcast content. We have a live, awesome live flagship tomorrow. We'll have What If out by Friday, our preview show. This is another huge game. And I think also nationally, Brandon, we've made some noise now at 8-5. We are in first place. To me, this feels like that next peg, if you will, that if we can show up and beat the pack, I think we're going to open up a lot of eyeballs to folks being like, ooh, this team got good again. And they are a very, very serious team. And it won't just be you and I coming on here as homers. saying we're serious, the whole world's going to know about Brandon after this Sunday.
I can't wait. Let's go. Let's get the win. Let's do it at home. Let's get our Seahawks fans in that stadium and cheering their brains out for our Seahawks to beat these darn Green Bay Packers.
And I think with that,
there's only one thing left to say.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.